Hello, and welcome to Beyond Books, where we talk about books from Book of the Month Club and beyond. I'm your host. I'm Renee. It's Tuesday. That means it's time for me to do a booktube tag. It's Tag Tuesday. This time I was tagged by Pat at Book Chat with Pat, and the tag that I'm going to do is called the Off the Top of Your Head Booktube Tag. So this was created by Gina at The Library Mouse, and her channel is called TheLibraryMouseGina. So you can look her up there, and I will put a link below. So let's get started. Question number 1. What was your favorite picture book as a child? Well, I know I had some Walt Disney books, books that were treasuries of different stories by Walt Disney, and they had pictures, and I loved those. They were great. So I would say either those, or I remember a science book, believe it or not, that was in our school library. It was also a picture book. It was like a picture encyclopedia it was maybe meant for like 6th graders, 5th, 6th graders. And everyone wanted to check out that book all the time. It had animals in it and all kinds of things that, I don't know, seemed to be of interest to us in the 60s. So I liked my encyclopedia of science as well as everybody else in the class, I guess. So number 2, what series did you love as a child? I think I talked about this once before, but probably overall was the Bobbsey twins. That's the first series that I really remember, really always wanting the books and going to the library and, seeing if there were any books I didn't have, or anytime we were at the store looking to see if there were anything I didn't have there. And, from the Bobbsey twins kind of went into Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. I also remember the Ramona series by Beverly Cleary, I think was her name. And Ramona had a friend or sister maybe named Beezus. And I remember that being a big thing as well. And there was a series of several books. I'm sure I read all of them. So what is the worst book you have read or tried to read? Well, since we're going off the top of my head, I'm not sure this is the actual worst book, and I'm sure it isn't. Probably the worst books I tried to read were ones that I had to read in school and, wasn't really motivated to read. I remember struggling with the Odyssey and, those kinds of things. But recently, it's kind of been the same thing because some of the books that I had to read for the BookTube prize, yeah, definitely weren't my favorites. I'm glad that I'm, getting through them, doing my best with them. But of course, out of 6 books, you're bound to find one that is just not of interest to you. And yeah, sometimes it can be a struggle just trying to read something I think that you didn't necessarily pick. So, your favorite reading or book memory? Favorite reading or book memory? I don't know about favorite, but just, anytime that I had time to read and could just sit and do that on my own and, yeah, just enjoy the book. I mean, that was always just a great time for me. So I'm sure at the time I was reading the Bobbsey twins and those kinds of things. So, yeah, I always enjoyed reading. So anytime that I could, get to it and do it, yeah, that was okay. A book you loved as a movie. That's number 5. I would say probably, at least as far as recently is concerned, uh, I really did enjoy the movie that they did from Where the Crawdads Sing. I enjoyed that book very much. It was just a really good read for me. I went through it in like a day. I stayed up all night, in fact, reading that book. And, you always wonder, what's the movie going to be like? Am I going to enjoy it as much? Well, in the end, I probably did enjoy it just about as much as the book because I thought that it was done so beautifully. It was filmed in, I think, Louisiana, and just the foliage and the trees, everything was just really, really beautiful. The colors were beautiful, and I liked, they didn't really change the story. The story was really followed the book very well, except that they changed the sequence just a little bit, so that it created just a little bit more drama, I think, for the movie adaptation. And I thought that that was done very well, and probably made the movie a better movie because of that. Number 6 is a book you wish they would make into a movie. Well, I think I've talked about this before, and it seems like all the time, it's always talked about that Patricia Cornwell's books, the Kay Scarpetta series, which is a series about a forensic pathologist named Dr. Kay. It seems like those are always, rumored to be ready to be made into a series. Never seems to happen. So at this point, does it really matter? No, because I've read all the books anyway, and I've enjoyed them, and probably by the time all of this anticipation is done, I probably won't be as excited about the series as what I would have thought, a few years back or something. But yeah, I kind of wish that it would finally happen for Patricia Cornwell, because certainly her books are just as good as probably many others that have been made into series, so why not? A book character that you would like as a friend. Well, I think that would either be Pippi Longstocking, who was a lot of fun, or Dr. Kay Scarpetta, because I just always have admired her. I would love to work on a case with her. I like medical stuff. I think it would be really fascinating to see, how a crime is investigated along medical lines. So yeah, I would love to, work on a case with Dr. K, or hang out for a day with Pippi Longstocking. A place you want to visit because of a book you read. That's number 8. I don't know if it's not so much a place, but I read a book, and it was a long time ago now, called Blue Highways. The author is William Least Heat Moon, and he did a trip by van around the United States. He went around in like a big 10,000 mile circle. And he did it on what back then were called blue highways, because they were blue on the map. They were kind of like the secondary roads that now you see in black on the map. And yeah, it was great. I mean, he went to these places that like you'd never heard of, and did all kinds of interesting things. I mean, all of the cultures in the United States and everything. It was a great book. I mean, I remember it as a great book. I read it so many years ago. But I would like to do a trip like that around the United States in that way. I've driven, back and forth across the U.S., mostly, of course, on the interstates, but a lot of traveling off the interstates as well, but never, all the way around like that. That would be pretty cool. Number 9, a nonfiction book you would recommend. Well, since we're speaking of traveling, that book, Blue Highways, very good book, nonfiction. I also always enjoyed the nonfiction books by, and I've talked about this before as well, Peter Jenkins. He does travel writing, travel journalism, and he has, it's probably dated now, it's from the 70s. He has a 2-book series of walking across America, and I just always enjoyed that. It was all about the people he met and what they did. And, he went to so many different states. He went across kind of more in a southerly route. I remember him going through Texas and things like that. He stopped and worked along the way to make, a little bit more money, but he walked all the way across. So yeah, that would be a recommendation that I'd have for nonfiction for sure. And then number 10 and final question, if you could hang out with an author all day, who would you pick and why? I would pick Patricia Cornwell because I just think that she's a fascinating person. She flies her own helicopter. The research that she does for her books is just amazing. She's interested in the medical investigation, like I say, with the Kay Scarpetta series. She's interested in police investigation, in cybercrime, and she, goes and works with the FBI to, research all of this kind of stuff and make the book just come to life. So, yeah, and she cooks. She's written cookbooks. So, yeah, I'd like to hang out with Patricia Cornwell for a day. That would be awesome. So, that is my Tag Tuesday. And if you are interested in doing this tag, jump right on in. I'm going to go ahead and put the questions in the description. And it's a good one. It's a good one. It does kind of make you think. I've been back and forth now all through decades picking out all of these books to tell you about. So it's things that, maybe I wouldn't have mentioned otherwise. So what am I reading now? Well, I just got through with this. One of the #1 banned and challenged books in the United States. So I'll talk about this in a future video. I might match this up with another graphic young adult novel that I have here that is also a banned and challenged book called Flamer. So maybe I'll review the 2 of those together. They probably would make a good match together. And I'm reading my book of the month for this month. And yes, it is an old one. I went back and picked one that was a member pick because I didn't want to pick any of the ones that they had for March, which, they let you do with book of the month, so it's all good. This one's actually from April 2017. And it's speaking of things that have been made into a movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm not too far into it so far. Kind of just got started today, but enjoying what I've read so far. And this coming Friday, which is the 15th at 7 p.m., I'm going to do a live segment. If you'd like to come and join me, that'd be awesome. You're certainly welcome to do so. I'm going to make the subject of the video will be book hauls, my favorite sources for sensational stories. So think about, where you get your books, what your favorites are, what your go-tos are, and why, and let us know about that, and maybe some of your recent hauls that you've really enjoyed, or hauls from the past where you've gotten something just like totally spectacular for 50 cents at a yard sale or something. Love to hear about all of that stuff. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope that everyone has a great day. Thanks again. Take care. Hello, and welcome to Beyond Books, where we talk about books from Book of the Month Club and beyond. I'm your host. I'm Renee. It's Tuesday. So what does that mean? That means that I'm going to do a booktube tag. This time I was tagged by Pat at Book Pat's Book Chat